Hi everybody, it's still Hat Week, so I hope you're having fun wearing your favorite hats. This is my lovely sun hat that I love to wear on a sunny day, and I hope that you're having a really good day wherever you are. We're going to read 3 books about princesses today, and they're 3 very different books about very different sorts of princesses. So the first one we're going to read is called The 12 Dancing Princesses. And this is an old-fashioned fairy tale type book that was written a long time ago by 2 men called the Brothers Grimm. Then we've got Princess Beatrice and the Rotten Robber by Elizabeth Honey. And that's a very different sort of story to the first one. And then finally, a really unusual type of princess called Rufferella by Vanessa, Gill-Brown and Mandy Stanley. And that's a very, very different sort of princess story. So I hope that you really, really enjoy them because they are a lot of fun. And I hope that that just makes your day just a little bit happier and a little bit more fun. So we're going to start now with the 12 Dancing Princesses. Come a little closer, and I will tell you about a king who had 12 lively and beautiful daughters. The princesses slept in the great hall of the castle, their beds all in a row. Good night, my daughters, their father said each night. Then he locked the door behind him to keep his loved ones safe. But each morning when the door was unlocked, what do you think the king found? 12 pairs of dainty dancing shoes worn through with holes. No one could say how this came to pass. The king announced that any young man who could discover where his daughters danced each night would inherit the throne and win one of his daughters for a bride. But whoever did not succeed within 3 days and nights would be sent away from the kingdom forever. One day, a soldier coming home from the wars met an old woman who asked where he was going. I haven't decided, he replied, and then added with a laugh, unless it's to find where the king's daughters dance every night and so become king. The woman beckoned him closer. That's not as difficult as it seems, she whispered. Just don't drink anything the princesses may offer you, and take this cloak, for it will make you invisible to others. Thank you, dear woman, said the soldier, and he went straight to the king's court, where he was welcomed with new clothes and a chamber off the great hall. That evening, the eldest princess appeared with a hot drink, saying, "Drink quickly, sir, for it will not stay warm for long." The soldier pretended to drink, but the liquid ran down into a sponge he had tied under his chin. Then he lay down and pretended to snore. The sisters laughed at this and said, "Sleep well, soldier." Bringing out elegant gowns, they then dressed themselves before the mirrors, arranged each other's hair, and whispered excitedly about the ball they would attend that night. But the youngest daughter said, "I feel so strange tonight, as if something is hanging over us." "Don't be a goose," replied the eldest. "I hardly needed to give that soldier a sleeping potion. The fool would have fallen asleep anyway." When all were dressed and ready, they quieted themselves and peered closely at the soldier, who pretended to be asleep. The eldest princess then tapped her bed. It immediately sank into the earth. The 12 young women descended one by one into the opening, with the soldier behind them, invisible in his cloak. Halfway down, he stepped on the youngest daughter's dress. "Who is pulling out my gown?" cried the frightened girl. "Don't be silly," chided the eldest. "You've just caught it on a nail." At the bottom of the staircase stretched a long avenue of trees with leaves of sparkling silver. Said the soldier to himself, "One of these leaves will be proof to the king that I followed his daughters." And with that, crack, he broke off a twig. The youngest daughter jumped at the sound. "What was that noise?" she cried. But her sisters only laughed. The merry group turned onto another avenue where the leaves were gold, and then onto a third where the trees twinkled with diamonds. On each avenue, the soldier broke off twigs from the trees. Crack, crack, causing the youngest to shake with fear. The princesses arrived at the banks of a lake where 12 pretty boats floated, with a prince waiting in each one. The soldier was quick to follow the youngest princess into her boat. Our boat feels so much heavier today, remarked the prince. I have to use all my strength to row across. Across the water was a palace blazing with lights. Sweet music drifted through the open doorways. There, the soldier watched the princesses dance until 3 o'clock in the morning, when one of them said, "Oh dear, I can dance no more. My shoes are worn through with holes." "Mine too, and mine," chimed in the others. And so it was time for the princes to ferry their ladies back across the lake. This time, soldier rode back with the eldest princess. While the young ladies bid good night to their princes, the soldier quickly ran back into the palace, crawled into bed and closed his eyes. The princesses slowly climbed the stairs and heard him snore so loudly that they said, "We are quite safe from him." They hung up their beautiful dresses and finally went to sleep. The next morning, the soldier told no one what he had seen. He wanted to see the sparkling trees and the palace again. And so on the second and the third nights, he followed the princesses as before. On the third night, he took a golden cup as proof of his visit. The soldier was summoned before the king the next day. "How do my daughters wear out their dancing shoes each night?" asked the king. "Your Highness, they travel to an underground castle and dance with 12 princes until 3 o'clock in the morning," replied the soldier. And he presented to the astonished king the 3 branches and the golden cup. "Is this true?" roared the king. The daughters could not deny it. So the king said, "Soldier, which of my daughters will you have for a wife?" "I am no longer young," answered the soldier. "I will marry your eldest daughter, if she will have me." The eldest daughter realized the soldier was not a fool after all and would be the future king. For the first time, she smiled at the soldier. Holding out her hand, she said, "Yes, I will." Soon there was a large wedding. The king forgave his naughty daughters, and so the day was a happy one. The lovely bride and her sisters danced until, yes, my dears, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a lovely old-fashioned fairy story. This next one that we're going to read is quite different, a very different sort of princess and certainly a different sort of adventure. So let's read Princess Beatrice and the Rotten Robber. Once upon a time, there was a princess called Beatrice who lived in a huge castle in a faraway kingdom. Princess Beatrice loved dressing up, and more than anything else, she loved wearing jewels, lots of jewels. In the castle, there were rooms full of jewels, and her mother and father said she could wear anything she wanted. One morning, a daring robber was galloping past the castle looking for treasure. "Yahoo!" he whooped, "an open door," and boldly he charged right in. Turning a corner, he ran slap bang into Princess Beatrice. The robber couldn't believe his eyes. At first, he thought she was some sort of Christmas tree. "Jackpot! Eureka! Bonanza!" he crowed. "Just look at those glittering goodies." The robber waved his pistol. "No time to waste. I'm taking these jewels princess and all, he cried. And with that, he swept up Princess Beatrice and dashed for the castle gate. The horse didn't like the jingle-jangle of the jewels. He snorted and bucked, and with a wild toss of his head, he bolted over the castle drawbridge and away into the forest. At breakneck speed they galloped, deeper and deeper into the woods, bumping and bouncing, twisting and turning. Jewels flew off like sparks, but Princess Beatrice was too busy hanging on to notice. At last, they arrived at the robber's dark and tumble-down shack. "Ha ha," said the robber, chuckling with glee. "Now to get my hands on this lovely loot." And he tried to take off a bracelet. "That's not how you do it," snapped Princess Beatrice. "Let me show you." And in a flash, she twisted the bracelet around the robber's wrists. "See? That's what you do. And this clip goes here, and that buckle goes there. And this tiara looks best on you like this, and this choker goes tight around your neck like this." And before you could say 10 tiaras, he was trussed up like a turkey in the royal jewels. "There," said Princess Beatrice, "they really suit you like that." "Now," she fumed, "how am I ever going to get home?" Then she noticed a little way off an earring caught on a twig, and further on a ruby glinted. "I know," she said. Quickly, she hauled the robber onto the horse's back with a rope of pearls and set off to find her way home, step by step and jewel by jewel. Back at the castle, the king and queen were very worried. Princess Beatrice had been missing for hours. The guards had searched the castle from top to bottom 4 times. It was dinner time and her chair was empty. They knew it was serious. Then, by the last rays of the setting sun, they saw something glinting in the distance. "It's Princess Beatrice," they cried, and cheering with joy, they ran to meet her. "My little treasure," said the king. "My precious flower," said the queen, and they both tried to hug her at once. And as for the robber, he was taken to the royal treasury and given an enormous tin of polish. "I'll make, as you like gold and silver and jewels so much," said the king, "I'll make you head cleaner and polisher of the royal treasures. It's a lifetime appointment, but you might get time off for good behavior." Then the king, the queen, and Princess Beatrice sat down to a late dinner. They had turkey a la king and duchess potatoes, followed by queen pudding with delicious fresh strawberries. And between mouthfuls, Princess Beatrice told them all about how she had tricked the rotten robber. "Well," said the king, "you've had quite a day." And she had. The end. I really hope that you liked that one. It's very different from the first one, but lots and lots of funny moments in that, lots of fun little pictures. So our final book today is, again, a very different sort of princess, and we're going to read about Rufferella. Diamante loved stories, and her most favourite was Cinderella. She liked to imagine that she was the fairy godmother, the one who made things happen. She desperately wanted to turn something into something, but what? One day, her eyes rested on Ruff, her dog. Aha! She would turn her dog into a human, into a Rufferella. "How about it, Ruff?" she exclaimed. "Do you want to be a girl?" Ruff didn't fancy being a human much, but Diamante could be very convincing, and soon Ruff was sure it was all trifle and television in the human world. But how would it happen? They didn't even have a magic wand. Well, I don't need one, said Diamante confidently. I will teach you how to be human. It isn't difficult. I do it all the time without even thinking. So the lessons began. First, Diamante dressed Ruff in human clothes, did her hair in a human style, and applied some human makeup. There, she squealed. At least you look like a real girl now, and you shall be called Rufferella. Next, Rufferella learned how to eat with a knife and fork, drink from a cup, and how to cough and sneeze politely. Diamante also tried to explain about not taking all the chocolate biscuits for yourself, but Rufferella found this aspect of being human very difficult to swallow, unlike the chocolate biscuits. Look at it her way. Finally, allowed to eat human treats, and she was supposed to let others choose first. Sausages in particular would have posed a problem. Ruff loved those more than anything. Diamante decided to show her off at a friend's birthday party. You shall go to the ball, Rufferella. Well, Penny's party anyway, but you mustn't let anyone know that you're really a dog. Rufferella was nervous, but she had no need to be. She danced, played games, drank pop, ate cake, and all without spilling a drop or a crumb. She even sang happy birthday to Penny. To everyone's delight, she had the most beautiful, deep voice anyone at the party had ever heard. What a wonderful voice this girl has. She should be on the telly. After that, she was invited to sing at other people's parties, then in theatres where crowds came to hear the amazingly sweet, low voice of little Rufferella, and eventually she did sing on the TV. Diamante always went with her. She couldn't help feeling a bit left out. There was no time for playing football or rolling around on the carpet like they used to. Still, it was fun being Rufferella's assistant. One day, among the usual heap of post for Rufferella, a very special invitation came. Diamante opened it. It's from the Queen. She saw you on telly and wants you and a guest to attend the ball at the palace. You really are Rufferella. Splendid, said Rufferella. So Diamante replied to the Queen, accepting her kind invitation, and they both set about getting new dresses and hairdos. The ball was wonderful. Everything was bright and sparkling and beautiful. Everyone wanted to dance with Rufferella and compliment her on her charming and unusual singing voice. Then they were escorted to the dining room. Rufferella was worried. Diamante's place was miles away. She'd never been totally on her own before, and she was hungry. And the prince next to her was just a tiny bit boring, and the dress was just a little bit tight. She wondered what was for dinner. She watched as the Queen was served. It was sausages. Sausages! Rufferella took one look and leapt onto the table, bounding towards the Queen. Rufferella landed in the Queen's plate and began wolfing the delicious, juicy sausages. Good heavens, she's a dog! Rufferella is a dog! No wonder she had such an unusual singing voice. Catch her! Exclaimed the people. Then Rufferella took another flying leap, this time landing in Diamante's arms, and together they ran out of the palace and all the way home. Next morning, There was less post than usual, but there was a parcel for Rufferella. She was feeling miserable, didn't want to look at it. So Diamante opened it and took out something hard wrapped in tissue paper. There was a note with it which read, "Dear Rufferella, please do not worry about the unfortunate events at the ball. Sausages are hard to resist after all. A little piece of royal advice. One is often best off if one allows one to be oneself. By this, I mean that while I make a reasonable job of being queen, I should make a pig's ear of being a pop star. Take care, dear." Signed, the Queen. Diamante unwrapped the item. "It's a dog's bowl," she cried. Rufferella was so pleased that a tear came to her eye. "Can I use it?" she asked. "If it's all the same to you, I think I'll give up being a human and my singing career. It's just not me." "Oh, good," replied Diamante. "I've really missed having you as my pet." Ruff smiled and said, "No more Rufferella?" "No more Rufferella," agreed Diamante. "Fancy a trip to the park with the old bull?" asked Diamante. Ruff yelped in agreement and off they went. Everything was back to normal. The end. I really hope that you've had fun with our princess stories today. And I really hope that you have a great rest of your day and your week. Have fun wearing your favourite hats. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday when we're going to read some more fun books. But in the meantime, you guys all take care and bye for now.